If feminism is about equality, why is it that you don't know from your feminist sources that boys are doing worse in school? If feminism is about equality, why is it that you are talking about the issues in education that girls face when boys have worse issues to deal with? So let's just take a look at what the science tells us about boys and girls when it comes to education. Boys perform worse at school because they are constantly being told that girls are more intelligent, according to a new study. Feminists are telling us that girls are the ones that get called stupid, but the science shows the exact opposite. Schools cater more to the needs of girls. For the average boy, school is not as good a fit as it is for the average girl. More boys have problems with attention and focus than girls. Because of their high activity level, boys are likely to get in more trouble than girls, and they are not given enough opportunities to move around, both in actual physical activity and how they learn, because they spend too much time sitting and not enough time learning by doing, making, and building things. According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, boys are 30% more likely than girls to flunk or drop out of school. When it comes to grades and homework, girls outperform boys in elementary, secondary, high school, college, and even graduate school. Boys are 4 to 5 more times likely than girls to be diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and consequently doped up with Ritalin and Adderall, both of which have been shown to create lifelong problems for boys. And women outnumber men in higher education, with most of the degrees going to women. According to the U.S. Department of Education, boys make up 2/3 of the students in special education. Now, if all of this was happening to girls, you would damn sure know about it through your feminist sources. But you don't know those things, or worse, you don't care. This study, the non-cognitive skills and the gender disparities in test scores and teacher assessments, evidence from primary school study, it concludes sadly that the grades awarded by teachers are not aligned with the test scores, with the disparities in grading exceeding those in testing outcomes and uniformly favoring girls. In other words, not only do girls do better in school, their grades are artificially inflated because of teacher bias, a bias against boys. That should be frightening to feminists, to sisters and mothers of boys. But where are the feminists championing for the equal treatment of boys by teachers? They're nowhere to be found. This article on the National Education Association's website entitled Educating Boys for Success, Are Today's Classroom Biased Against Boys? Points out what may be a very big problem for boys. The author, a female teacher, writes, "To complicate matters, elementary school boys have few male role models. 80% of educators in my county and 91% of those in my school are female." This article in Esquire magazine points out that a great many boys will suffer serious side effects from drugs like Ritalin and Adderall, and that the shocking truth is that many of those diagnoses are wrong, and that most of the boys are being drugged for no good reason, simply for being boys. What would feminists be championing for if girls were being drugged simply for being girls? The article points out that these are Schedule II drugs having a high potential for abuse, and with the use potential leading to severe psychological or physical dependence. If 1 out of 7 girls were being doped like this, you would know about it, and you would be complaining about it to high heaven. But because it's boys, you don't know about it, or worse, you don't care about it. The people that drive feminist politics write the books, write the articles, they don't talk about this stuff. They talk about things like the debunked wage gap, even though every professional feminist knows it's a damn lie. But they perpetuate it anyway because the lie feeds the feminist movement. Boys are falling behind. This is not new information. Educators have known about these problems for decades. This article traces it back to the 1970s and the pedagogical approach called child-centered learning. Educators know teaching methods that will benefit boys and girls equally and better, but they stick to the pedagogical method that uniquely favors girls. If feminism is about equality, why aren't you championing for the teaching methods that better serve both boys and girls, rather than just girls? Because feminists always prioritize girl needs over boys. And when you do that, that's not equality. Study after study, it's always the same. Boys are getting left behind. It's published everywhere. Professional feminists know these issues. We've been bringing the boys' education issues to feminists and school boards for years. And nothing changes. Feminist advocacy is always for girls. Feminists complain that they're being made to dress modestly because it distracts boys. Seriously, all of these awful things are happening to boys, and the feminist girls are so narcissistic they can't be bothered with the boys' issues. Instead, they're concerned about the dress codes, even though boys have to dress modestly as well. It just goes on and on. Young men are being left behind in college enrollment. In terms of degrees, women outpace men in every single category. Between 2009 and 2010, according to the U.S. Department of Education, National Center for Education Statistics, women receive 62% of associate's degrees, 57.4% of bachelor's degrees, 62.6% of master's degrees, and 53.3% of doctorate degrees. This has been going on for years, and the problem is only getting worse. Ladies, I've been around for a long time. I didn't read about second-wave feminism. I lived through it. I've been to college. I've studied under feminist professors. Feminism has never been balanced. It's always been about promoting women and only women. In fact, it actively seeks to destroy traditional families and traditional gender roles, even when men and women choose those roles. I have nothing against young ladies and women. My issue is with feminists. I don't care if you're a man or a woman or a celebrity or a politician. If you call yourself a feminist and you're ignoring these stats and you're ignoring the science, you aren't for equality. I don't care what the definition says. I'm judging you on your actions, what you lobby for, and what you raise funds for. It's never boys. If you actually believe in the equal treatment of men and women, feminism is not for you. Egalitarianism is for you. Or I suppose you could try to change the feminist movement. But to do that, feminists need to lobby and raise funds for men's issues and for boys' issues. And sadly, feminism doesn't seem to care. Ladies, it's time to grow up and face facts like adults. Despite the dictionary definition of feminism, it's not about equality. It never has been.